And now moving on to relationship, we are joined by Toju Oluwatoyinbo, and she will be talking to us today about how you can unintentionally hurt your spouse. Now, she's a vlogger and a relationship mentor, passionate about building a successful home. Good morning, Toju.
Hi, Tope. Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
This topic, before you came on, we were talking about it, and how I'm wondering, how can you unintentionally hurt your spouse? Like, first off, I feel like it's very important that you communicate.
Yeah.
Because I'm not in your head to know what is annoying you. But let's talk about it. How do you unintentionally hurt your spouse?
I mean, it's really simple because you're not the same people.
Yes.
Your personalities are different. And so it's not like you wake up in the morning saying today at 8 a.m. I'm going to do this to hurt you. But because you're different, how you say something might affect me another way. Yes, so you've hurt me. So even though we talk about it and you apologize, it doesn't change the fact that you've hurt me. And sometimes because it might be a habit for the other person or it's something they have to learn, it might happen again. Yeah, so that's how it can happen.
Yeah, that's how. So now, in cases where you hurt your partner unintentionally, how do you communicate that? No, or how do you advise the partner who is hurt to communicate that to the other person?
Well, I often like to say you need to communicate in the way that the person understands. So not the way you are hurt. The person who's hurt understands, but the person who has hurt you understands. So if, for example, general example, you're the emotional woman and you want to talk to a man who's logical. If you go there crying, you're going to lose the man. If you go there saying, I feel, you're going to lose the man at some point. But if you can do a bit of both, explaining, because the man wants to know, okay, what did I do? How did I do it? What should I have done? But if you just go saying, I just feel bad, you just always talk to me anyhow, like, this is the way I talk to my colleagues at work. So why is it different for you?
I'm not your colleague now.
So you now explain to him, because sometimes, especially for a man, he might not understand what the difference is. So you need to understand, okay, I'm your wife, I'm special, you need to pedal down with me. I feel embarrassed when you speak about me in public like this. You need to actually break it down. So what's obvious to you might not be obvious to them. Yeah. And it might take a while because some of these things take time, unfortunately.
Yeah. But speaking about this communicating how you feel, now you say someone could be logical and the other person is emotional. Where does responsibility to your partner coming in the place where, like, I'm emotional and you're logical, but because something is paining me, how am I supposed to be logical at that moment?
At that moment.
Yeah.
So, yes, it also boils down to the fact that you also, the other party, has to grow in emotional intelligence. The other part, because you're married to serve that person. So you need to learn how to serve the person. Because you're fine doesn't mean the other person is fine. So you need to start having more conversations. How do you want to be spoken to? What can I do to make you feel better? Would you want me to do X? Would you want me to do Y? You just need to... And you need to be consistent with it as much as possible. Because if your spouse feels like I'm stressed for you, you're making me feel tired or you're draining me, then, that's not a good feeling. So you need to actually want to do it. Yeah.
That draining is such an important and sensitive part. I did have a conversation with a friend, and we're talking about how her and her partner, her spouse, had an argument. And he apologized. But she said sorry was not enough. And I'm wondering, so like, okay, but he said sorry.
Yeah. This is a very popular one.
How do you progress from that? Because now you said, oh, you should communicate. Yeah. And she communicated how she felt, and he just said, she's like, well, he just said sorry. Yeah. And I'm like... So
this is obviously a woman. Yes. Right? So for guys, and I'm sure I've said this here before, for guys, when they've offended each other, and they go and watch a soccer match together, hey, alpha, they've said sorry, and they're good. So for a woman, you said sorry and you might mean it, but she needs to go through that process because it was a process for her to get her in the first place. So you need to hold her hands, pamper her, explain why you did what you did, take responsibility for the fact that you did this, acknowledge that you did this. Because sometimes the guys never actually say, oh, I actually did this too, I shouldn't have done it too. Sorry, I know, try. And you just gloss over it. I'm like, my feelings are too big for you to just gloss over. So I think women generally want that process step by step, hold my hand, pamper me, rub my back, take me out. And this can even be for like a day or two, depending on the woman and her level of maturity.
Your sorry is quite a lengthy sorry. But don't you think that at some point, the other person can feel like it takes too much to tell you sorry?
Yes. So I'm not saying stay there. But if it starts off like that, it's not a bad thing to do while you're growing in the relationship, in trust and in bonding.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad thing to do.
Okay, so in a case where your partner is, you know that this is how your partner speaks and your partner says things that offends you and gets you hurt, and you know that you've talked and talked and talked about it and nothing has happened, what do you now do? Do you just constantly live in hurt?
That's a tricky one. So this is where I normally say third parties. Someone the person might listen to. I might not be a person. It might be a session like this. It might be someone they like. It might be a movie. It might be one of these funny Facebook stories or videos or something that you just slide in. Because sometimes when I'm the one telling my spouse, it might sound like nagging, but when they hear it from a third party, it might sound like a revelation. So, yeah.
And then how does that make you feel as a partner in the sense that you're not listening to me, but somebody comes and says the exact same thing?
Yeah, it can pain. It can really pain. But as long as they're getting the message, that's what we want.
Yeah.
As long as they're getting the message, it doesn't matter if it's coming from you or coming from a third party. Just take what you get at that time, and let's see what happens over time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, let's talk about, and from someone who is not emotionally driven, someone who is objective, someone who just who says that your feelings, you feel too much. How do you?
This is why all these things. Why are you married to this person if you constantly feel like you can't get through to them? So I feel some of these conversations and observations really should be made before you get married, because at the time when you get married, you just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And if it's not changing, at some point it might become a cross you just have to carry.
Okay.
Right? If you've tried third parties, you've tried speaking to the person, it's left for you to pray and wait it out. It becomes your cross to carry. But even in that, you need to find ways to strengthen the strengths of the marriage and focus on that, because if you focus on the things that are not working, a lot of other things will stop working as well. Yeah.
Oh, very insightful. Thank you so much, Toju. I am sure that people have learned how to manage partners beyond dealing with unintentional hurt. I think I've learned a thing or two. I shall implement that in life. Thank you so much. Well, we are going on a break. We still have something very interesting for you in this short stint of time. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.